Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment. We are here with Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, episode 7 of season 4. And I believe this one is called Let Me Reintroduce Myself. So, obviously, this episode pretty much begins where the last episode let off. And I say let off, I don't really think it let off all that much. Um, it literally begins and Kanan. He's nowhere to be seen. You've got Raquel and Unique. Unique is confronting Raquel pretty much face to face, mano a mano, even though Raquel's no a man, but you get my point here. And he's like, "Oh, you put me in the fucking ground. You did it." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean I did it?" And he's like, "Yeah, you did it. Then you killed Ronnie and you killed Hard." She can't, but she's kind of lying, saying that she didn't kill Hard and Ronnie, but obviously she did. But she genuinely didn't have anything to do with Unique ending up on the ground. You know what I mean? That was simply Ronnie acting alone. Um, like there is no two ways about it. And I feel like Unique in this conversation, no, not Unique, Raquel. I feel like she could have done a better job, couldn't she have? I feel like she could have like been like Unique. I thought you were dead. Hell, I mourned for you. I cared for you, sort of thing. I know he probably wouldn't buy that, and I guess there's no real tangible proof that Raquel can whip out to Unique and show him how she did have nothing to do with it. But it's very weird, man. It's a very weird. But I thought this episode it began really strong. Unique's like, yeah, those phone calls, pagers you're receiving right now, or my doing, or my work, and then we seen like a montage of like the Trenton boys taking over the streets on South Side, Jamaican Queens. So I thought that was a really good start to the episode. Unique then leaves. We see throughout the episode, Unique he goes to visit his baby mama. She drops the oranges. It was kind of reminiscent of the Breaking Bad scene, where of course Walter, Walter, where Walter like revisits his house and the neighbor drops the oranges, and of course he drives off like Walter White does. They reunite. He gets her quickly out of Southside Jamaica Queens and gets her fired into I think it was like Central Park. Definite, wasn't it? She's like, "Oh, I need to go take my mother to her dialysis appointment." He's like, "No, you're not going to do Dick. You're not doing that." But like I say, we then see Raquel, Jukebox, Marvin, and Kanan discussing what to do with Unique. Marvin, Marvin falls in line behind Raquel, right? And Raquel's basically saying that we need to lay low, we need to establish what Unique wants first before we make any form of move. But then Kanan calls her out on it, and Jukebox backs up Kanan. And I'm liking this. I feel like for the first time in this show, right, that Jukebox and Kanan are like transitioning into feeling like actual like players, especially Kanan in this scene. You know what I mean? I think we're beginning to transition from these kids that are in school to people that can actually handle themselves, and I think it's obviously helped with Jukebox being, going to the army and things like that. But I enjoyed this scene, but obviously Marvin's like, you need to take a belt to that boy, because Marvin's not too happy about the way that Kanan is speaking to Raquel, which I mean I kind of understand. We then seen a conversation. Raquel and Marvin sit down with Stefano. He basically buries him and says, "You know what? They might. It's not. They've not reached out to a member of one of the five families. There has to be someone elsewhere." But then he points out if Unique gets the Afghan Connect, the kebab people, or whatever the fuck he said something along the lines of that. If he gets Kevin King fucking Kebab to work with Unique and his crew, then we're screwed. We get no product. We ain't making no money. Meanwhile, Kenny's kind of doing his own thing this episode. He sits down with Jukebox. He's like, you know what? I put money aside, Juke. Me and you could start our own business, sort of thing. She's like, I'm not really into that, Kanan, but what I am into is finding out who killed Famous. They kind of rule out Unique, and like I said, Unique has to get ruled out because Famous has been dead that long. I think Famous gets killed during the period where Unique was down and out, sort of thing. So yeah, that's no real surprise there. Kanan obviously on about the money that he's been putting to the side. He then goes to pay a visit, and it turns out all his money's gone. And then he quickly figures out that it must have been his wee midget pal. And I tell you what, I say his wee midget pal, That's exactly what he is. This guy's a midget of the highest degree. So Kanan basically puts the word out on the street that he wants this guy dead, which I do find is pretty funny. We'll see where this guy decides to appear. Marvin then gives Jukebox a gun. Jukebox then goes to the lesbian club, hooks up with a woman. The woman sees the gun. Can I have your number? She's like, nah, but this was cool though, kind of thing. You know, a one night stand. Is what it is, isn't it? One night stand in the cloakroom, in the coat room, whatever you want to call it. What else happened this episode? Marvin then met with Stefano behind Rock's back. Stefano was like, how about we move her up the road and put you in? And then he's like, no, we can't fucking do that. Marvin was very adamant that this was Stefano's problem. He's like, you're the one that killed him out in fucking Jersey. You're the one that wanted him dead. It's funny because Marvin's the one that pulled the trigger. But what we've also got to bear in mind is that during this scene, Stefano was talking about a body being pulled. It was at the Hudson River. Can't remember whatever river he said. He said about a river, right? And due to that, he's had to step away. But obviously, this is the guy that Marvin killed like a bunch of episodes ago. So that's proof he's covered up. I think, and then we've seen Raquel and Marvin discussing what to do, like kill Stefano, make a move on Jersey, make a move on the five families, like discussing all these different ideas. And I felt like this episode was really going somewhere. We also had the stuff with B Rilla and his wee crew, like take down the label's house, but turns out it's no his house, and it was just two people that live in his old house. Which I thought was pretty funny. So he lives to fight another day. Is B Rilla going to be found out on that? Potentially. And then, of course, we get the ending of the episode. And I thought the end of the episode was pretty slow to a degree where... I mean, it was good. You had, like, the three siblings discussing their mother. You also had Kanan seeing Raquel giving a wad of cash to two police officers. And then when he goes home to talk to Crystal about it, he's like, Raquel, my mother, she's the one that killed Famous, or put it in motion at least, paid the cops off to do it. I think he's reading that wrong. I do. I'd be surprised. I think if Raquel was going to get somebody to kill Famous, she should just get Marvin to do it. Why would she hire dirty cops? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense, that. But Kenan might think like that. But yeah, the end of the episode, Raquel kills her mother because the other two brothers couldn't do it. Yeah, pretty sad scene, all in all, folks. And that was the end of the episode. I think this was probably the best episode of the season. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was quite strong. We'll be back with a promo breakdown, all that good stuff. I did a live reaction to the episode. That's on the channel. That'll be on the live section. I did like the last 10 minutes of the episode when I discussed it a bit more in detail. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Decent rating. Only 3 episodes to go. Till then, peace.